Are apologies in order, Cart? Is that how we should start the Matt Painter video this morning, or do you have a different way you'd like to go about this?
The only issue with that is, and I have no problem apologizing if apologies are in order. I need everyone else to get on the same page on what I necessarily need to apologize for. So once I lock down that, I will move forward with how I will approach my apology.
Mm, okay.
Because I did something that was against, I think, the Purdue Brian Cardinal sins. Did Brian Cardinal go to Purdue?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
Brian Cardinal sin.
It's a Brian Cardinal
It's
sin.
a Brian Cardinal sin to assume or step forward with an opinion that you may or may not believe what is being said by Coach Matt Painter.
Okay.
And I think I did wrong in that case.
Okay. Let's summarize our last 16 hours. Does that sound fun? Let's do it. And then we will discuss Painter's comments on Kanon Catchings because this is what this video is about. Hopefully, this is the last Kanon Catchings video we make for a very long time until he actually plays basketball. But Painter spoke on this, and it was really interesting. It was revealing. It was honest. It was good to listen to. More coaches should do this. They should get in front of microphones and tell people what's happening. Matt Painter, whenever he has done that in his career, it has always been very enlightening. This was no difference. Why are we doing this, and why is this an interesting time? Why do we start this video in the weird, do we need to apologize way? Well, yesterday afternoon, we recorded a video that basically asked the question, do you believe Kanon Catchings asked back at Purdue? You can go watch our now outdated video on that. I think you and I were pretty aligned in our belief at the time that no, we don't believe that actually happened. We believe maybe there was an open door to Purdue re-entering the recruitment, but it was not as black and white as Kanon Catchings wanted to return to Purdue the day after he decommitted to Purdue. We didn't believe that. We had no reason to believe that. That's what we said in the video. We recorded that video before Matt Painter spoke to Purdue media. Okay. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter. I saw a lot of people in our sphere, even privately in our Discord, wherever, that kind of messaged us like, bet you didn't do that one. Bet you regret that one. Speaking for me, I don't know if you feel different. No, I don't regret a thing. It like look at the timestamp. We had a conversation before information was available to us that was entirely speculative, which is what we do here. Like you guys listen to, if you're a regular listener of the show that's like, I bet you regret that one, you should know by now, like what we regularly do on the show. We play the speculation game a lot. It's fun. It's entertaining to us to try and play what if and figure out what's happening and put our detective hats on when things like this occur. Were we wrong? Yeah, we were wrong to sit there and say Kanon Catchings did not ask back to Purdue, at least at the time. If we said that's not what happened, Matt Painter is saying something different happened. But there were a lot of people that were like, you implied Painter lied about Catchings. No, we didn't. Painter hadn't spoken about Kanon Catchings when we recorded yesterday's video. So we are now recording today's video with Matt Painter's comments available to us. And I think it does paint a completely different story than what we speculated it was. And I think there's a lot of interesting parts of this that I actually want to talk to you about now. So, I mean, but I don't regret making that video yesterday at all. I don't even think we said anything overly inappropriate or wrong. Like the piece we got incorrect was us speculating that Kanon Catchings did not actually ask to return to Purdue. Matt Painter is saying he did. That would be the one thing that I went back and listened to. I think we were wrong about that. But again, we didn't say what Painter said. We just speculated, and our speculation seems to be incorrect. Is that a fair way to summarize what happened in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I'll do my homework. We'll do our homework better next time.
But there wasn't homework to do, is the thing. Like it's like we were studying for a test. We were trying to prepare for the test, and the test was the next day. But you can't like knock the preparation. You can knock the grade we got on the answers when the test was taken, you know?
I'm starting to see things a certain way.
Okay.
We're not gonna release stuff from now on. You can count on maybe a video a week because we're gonna need resources to make sure we are doing our due diligence before any video ever hits the internet, because that's our duty. As I guess we're reporters now. So is that what we are?
I mean, we're media's in the name. You chose the name media, so we do
All
have some
right.
sort of responsibility to not be incorrect. But no, I don't think we're newsbreakers. I don't think we're
Okay.
that.
All right.
We're nuclear reactors, is what we are.
This is the stupid. This is this is
Just I know you're bottling it up, Car. I know you're bottling it up. Can you say what you want to say? Can you speak from the heart for me?
this is the fact that this is a discussion or even a topic is just absolutely annoying to me. It
Why?
truly is, because there's just such a stance on, or I don't understand why my choosing to believe that maybe this story didn't go the way it went, even though Matt Painter said that's how it went. I'm not calling Painter a liar. Like, I'm not calling him a liar, but I can choose to believe in what details I want and what details I don't believe. And given the situation, I have a very hard time believing that this whole time that Kanon Catchings was being recruited, and it's been for a while now, and he's been committed to Purdue for a long, long time, that he had a conversation that apparently did not go well, according to Matt Painter, because he wanted an increased role. And the day after that, he expected like to go back in there and things would be okay and ask back on a team, when Kanon Catchings would have other options if he wanted to go elsewhere, which he did end up doing. I just have a very, very hard time picturing that scenario going down in my head.
So you are still saying you don't know if you believe this.
I don't know if I do know.
Okay. You are entitled to your own opinion. I'm
That
sure.
is that is a Carter Elliott opinion, by the way. That is not a Sleepers Media opinion. My opinion is that maybe maybe it did go down like this, but there's no way it went down exactly like this. I have a hard time believing that.
You are entitled to your opinion. Thank you for clarifying. It's your opinion, not Sleeper's opinion. But although you are, I mean, you are 50% of Sleepers, so technically it is. If it's on a Sleepers platform and I put this video out, it is Sleeper's opinion. I get that. I don't agree with you on that. I do not believe that there's much, what's the word here? I guess debate over if Catchings actually like verbalized his interest in returning to Purdue at this point. I believe he did. I believe what Matt Painter is saying is true. I believe Matt Painter was honest and revealing in what he said. You are certainly entitled to your opinion. What I will say, looking at the situation now, and I'm kind of sick of talking about like what actually happened here. This is a he said, she said, except there's no she. So it's he said, and I guess Kanon's mom is talking too. So he said, she said. It's a huge everybody said something. Matt Painter's word against Kanon Catchings' mom's word against Kanon Catchings' word, but there's not even conflict really because Kanon's not saying shit here. The only side we're actually getting to hear publicly right now is Matt Painter, and I'm appreciative of Matt Painter giving his side, but like it's like a domestic dispute, right? This feels like an episode of Maury, and one side gets the first segment, and then there's a commercial break, and then we'll see if there's a second side that gets to say their segment. Because my guess would be the kid that is now wearing BYU gear is not going to come on here and say, "Yeah, I wanted to go back to Purdue." That doesn't help him at all. So
But this is the thing. There shouldn't be a first side, second side thing.
it should have
That,
stayed
that's
in house.
that's what's confusing to me, because I mean, we watch, or I'm not. I'll say this. I mean, we're not like lifelong Purdue fans or whatsoever, but we're lifelong Big Ten fans. Paint is not throw guys under the bus, right? He's not a like, and that's what makes him, I think, so well respected as a coach and has their culture so well respected, is that he doesn't necessarily really do things like this. I think we asked in our Discord yesterday, has there ever been a situation where Paint is kind of like, had a throw a player under the bus moment? And I think actually the last time they brought up, which is funny enough, it was when Matt Harms transferred to BYU. So it was just odd that, to me, this could have been avoided. Like, I think different words could have been used. Like, this could have been the situation that happened, but the fact that he kind of just got his side of the story out, his details out, which whether he intended to or not, now throws Kanon Catchings under the bus. I didn't think that was necessarily needed. That could have been something that I think just stayed maybe in house because
Now,
it doesn't benefit anybody by coming out, does it?
it benefits Payne. Payne is saying things that benefit Payne. Like the narrative now on social media yesterday, which I think is deserved, honestly, I do. The narrative now is like, oh, Painter saved his locker room. And like I saw a lot of Michigan State people quote tweet it and be like, I really respect the way Painter runs his program. You're not gonna bring someone in who's bigger than the program. So look, I you're
And dog, Paint's a god, man. Paint is a god. This man lost the highest recruit that Purdue has had in a very long time, and somehow came out of this with the fan base kissing his feet still. Like that's what a
okay.
legend for
Can
real.
I give my entire side of this? Because I feel like I've just been tiptoeing and you are like very on the opposite side. Like I don't am I summarizing it correctly to say that you don't think Painter should have even commented on catchings yesterday? And like in general, you're not sure you even buy what he said happened? Is that a fair summary? Like that's what I'm hearing from you is like you don't think anything that was revealed yesterday from Painter was one worth telling and two necessarily the cold hard truth.
Yes.
Okay. Can I go now? Because
Mhm.
I have much different thoughts than you.
Yes.
Okay, here's my entire thought yesterday, and it's all over. This is a very complex situation. Number one, most important thing since yesterday. Massive credit to Matt Painter for speaking honestly. I want more coaches to get in front of microphones and talk about what is happening in the inner workings of their program, their recruitments, whenever they can. Matt Painter is a very special one because there are some coaches who get in front of a microphone and can't talk, can't reveal their thoughts in a compelling way. Matt Painter's a genius. He's a basketball genius. He's a great guy. Like, I believe that to my core. Matt Painter is a great person who is great for the sport of college basketball, obviously great for Purdue, obviously great for the Big Ten. I want more of Matt Painter in front of a microphone anytime I can get it. So I completely disagree with you when you say like, oh, I wish, like, I don't even think he necessarily should have done this. One, he was asked pointedly what happened with Kanon Catchings. What's he supposed to do? Say no comment? No, he's
Oh,
talking
no,
after
no,
an
no,
open
no. But
practice.
you're telling me Matt Painter doesn't have any ways to say that without actually
Oh
maybe
yeah,
feeling that.
no,
That's where I'm coming. Like, don't dance around. Don't say no comment. I appreciate him actually speaking on it, answering the question. He could have got the same point across without the throwing Catchings under the bus.
okay. And I want to give massive credit to Boilers in the Stands. That's our boys. Craig Bowers, Joe Jackson, Greg Braggs. I believe Craig was at the open practice yesterday and he was doing a great job covering it. But I believe they were the people who tweeted out the clip here of Painter actually speaking on this. At Boilers in the Stands is where you can find it. And the quote is essentially this: he was concerned about his role and just wanted out of his letter. Went back the next day and said everything was good. And it was just like, nah, it's probably better if we part ways. We wish him good luck and hope everything works out for him. Couple things for me on the actual quote from Painter. One, uh, he did this as classy as he could have, in my opinion, minus revealing that he asked back. But like, this in general was a respectful way to comment on Kanon Catchings. And I appreciated that. He didn't dog him. He minimized the impact of this. He said it's not that big of a deal. He said, we released him. Everything's good. Ultimately, the decision was up to us because he wanted back. And we said, no, let's just go our separate ways. We wish him luck. That in and of itself is classy. Do I think that he needed to go the extra mile to say like he wanted back and we were the people who said no? That's where it becomes the domestic dispute to me again. Like I would love someone to like kind of be the bigger person here. And to me, like the responsibility probably does fall on the 50 something, 60. I don't know how old Matt Painter is, falls on the head coach that's a grown adult and not the 17, 18-year-old kid. Like, I don't think this helps Kanon Catchings at all for BYU coaches and players to hear publicly in a viral clip that Kanon wanted to go back to Purdue. Again, I believe it's true. I believe what Matt Painter's saying is true. It's just some shit I would expect Dan Hurley to do. It's some shit I would maybe expect Tom Izzo to do. Two of the guys who are more like, for lack of a better word, petty. Two of the more petty, loyalty-driven guys. And look, I've talked through the years about like maybe Matt Painter's too nice. Maybe he needs to get a little bit of an edge. I think we saw his edge a little bit last year. We criticized his edge from time to time. To me, this was like his edge showing through. It's like, oh, Kanon did me dirty. I'm going to get the final word. And did he get the final word respectfully? Yeah. This was a masterpiece in PR from Painter because everyone, rival fans, Purdue fans themselves, everyone watched that clip and said, Painter's the best. And I have no idea how Painter has spun this situation into like Painter looking like the good guy at the end of it. Other than like, he was right. He I think he did save his locker room, but like, man, going out and revealing like, yeah, he wanted back and we said no. That's kind of crazy that everyone's like Painter's the one that's the good guy here. It's just a little crazy to me. I had a big hit list and now I'm jumbled all over the place. 3, Painter did the right thing here. Let me be clear. If this decision was truly in Painter's hands, like Kanon asked back a day after saying I'm out, Matt Painter did the right thing by saying, no, thank you, we're done. Like that, he deserves, I feel like that decision in and of itself is not being talked about in all of this. It's a tough decision because Kanon Catchings is hella talented. And I give Painter a ton of credit for drawing the line in the sand and saying, no, this is one step too far. We're done here. I want to reiterate, it is still a he said, she said. This is completely a he said, she said. Completely a he said, she said. So you can believe Matt Painter if you want. I think you are entitled to not believe Matt Painter if you want. Still very much a he said, she said. Painter historically has been a very honest guy. That's why I tend to believe this happened exactly as he laid it out. My last point on the bullet list here. One thing I want to pick out from his comments. He said, quote, I can't anoint a role. I can't anoint a role. Zach Edey didn't get a guaranteed role when he came here. Fletcher Lawyer didn't get a guaranteed role when he came here. And he's right to an extent. This is where the gray area comes in for me because I think there's a lot of people that are speculating what exactly Kanon Catchings' demand was or his want was, right? We don't know what Kanon's bar here was for what he wanted to hear from Matt Painter. Like, Kanon could be completely delusional, Cart. Kanon could have gone into or called Matt Painter and said, hey, I need you to promise me that you'll feature me more than Braden Smith. That could have been the want. And if that was the want, this kid's delusional, get him out of here. Or the want could have been, hey, I just want you to promise me that you're not going to play like, Brian Waddell and Caleb First over me. Now that, like we're looking at a roster for next year, like, I want to make sure I'm in the top 6. Just promise me you won't play Caleb First at the 4 over me. I don't think that's a crazy demand at all. The bottom line is this. We don't know what the demand was. Painter didn't say what the demand was. All he said was, I can't anoint a role. And let's be real about it. Through the years, there's been freshmen Painter has anointed roles too. Like he got Caleb Swanigan to Purdue by promising him roles. Like that happened. And using Fletcher Lawyer as an example is an odd one to me because I get like he's trying to say like, oh, Braden and Fletcher had to earn it. But also like Painter built that roster thinking at least one of Braden or Fletcher would probably start as freshmen. So like I can guarantee you the conversations Painter would have been having with Braden and Fletcher out of high school is like, oh man, like every opportunity to play right away is going to be right there for you. Like that was the expectation. So look, the reality of this is Purdue's roster is in a way healthier place now than it has ever been. There's more talented guys everywhere. Cam Heide and Miles Colvin and TKR and Fletcher Lawyer are more talented than most Purdue rosters we've seen in a long time. And it makes sense that Painter can't promise Catchings that he would play over any of those guys. But we can't just rule out like it was a guarantee that this was a delusional ask. Like Kanon Catchings might literally have just wanted make me feel wanted in the mix of those five guys. And for whatever, like, we don't know. Painter couldn't get there in a way that would keep everyone happy that seemed worth it to Matt Painter. So like, at the end of all of this, to me, I don't think it's as black and white as like Kanon demanded this and it was a crazy ask. We don't know what the ask was. We just know Painter was unwilling to compromise. And my take on this truly is it probably says something about how Matt Painter felt about Kanon Catchings' basketball ability. Because if Matt Painter, in his heart and mind, believes that Kanon Catchings is a better basketball player for his team than Miles Colvin or Cam Heide, I think he would have said what he needed to say here. And the fact that he didn't probably means he didn't see Kanon Catchings having the role, which is why it made sense for Kanon to decommit. Like, and Greg Peterson, the guy we go on his podcast a lot, he had a great quote tweet of this that was like, I wish we saw this more. This seems like this was a good decision for both sides. Painter got out in the right way. He helped his locker room. He avoided the disaster. Kanon Catchings got out and is going to go somewhere he can play. That is all this is. But like, it is not as black and white as like Kanon demanded this, Painter wouldn't give it. And when he says like, I can't anoint a role, I think it's a lot more complicated than that. Because to me, you did anoint a role for Caleb Swanigan. And you did make Braden and Fletcher at least know, like, pretty obviously you're going to play a lot this year. Like, that wasn't there for Kanon. That could have been there for Kanon if you believed Kanon was a good enough player to deserve that. Like, and I think that's lost in all this. Is that fair to say?
It is, and the point that I think is most important out of a lot of great points that you made is that it works for everybody. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't know why it has become this thing. Why couldn't Kanon just go his way, Paint go his way, and it works out. It works out for both parties in the end.
Yeah.
That's what it does. The thing that doesn't sit right with me is that it works out for both parties, and then on the back end, Paint wants to make himself look like. I'm sorry, not make himself. Paint wants to kind of get the last jab, or when he really didn't. Not even jab. That's the wrong wording. I'm trying to pick my words a little more carefully here. I think he could have answered the question about Kanon without throwing him under the bus as he's about to go play for another school.
There's a lot of people that are going to fight you on that and say he didn't throw him under the bus cart. He just said what happened. Like, why do you define? Because it wasn't a disrespectful thing. It was kind of swept in the sentence aside, but it was just like, yeah, he asked back, and ultimately we said no thanks.
Did you really have to add? You did not have to add the he asked to come back and I said no part. The only thing that does, if it happened, is big up Matt Painter, big up the Purdue program, while at the same time throwing an 18-year-old kid who's not your player anymore under the bus, or was never your player.
I just think defining that as throwing the kid under the bus is a little harsh. Like, I agree with you in sentiment that like that essentially is the outcome of what it does. Because the BYU coaches and players are probably like, what the hell? Like, and this publicly, like, people that aren't with BYU or Purdue, anyone who saw this publicly is like, oh, Kanon's delusional. Like, that's
okay, maybe not throw under the bus, but like be the bigger man,
win the breakup.
Just be the coach. Like, be the coach in this situation. I would expect Kanon Catchings to be the one that comes up like, yeah, I tried to leave, or no, I left, I went in there, and the next day Paint was calling me back, begging me to come back, or something like that.
Yeah.
I would if this story is like this, it should come from Kanon, not from Paint.
So I agree with you there. That, like, all in all, that feels like a detail that should be kept in house, and ultimately, like, the grown man head coach is the one revealing it to win the breakup over the 18-year-old kid. That's what it feels like happened here. I just wouldn't go so far as to say it was like throwing him under the bus, because if it was throwing him under the bus, he could have been a lot meaner about this. He could have literally come out and been like, look, I tried so hard to make this work with Kanon. He's a supreme talent. I spent over 2 years basically trying to reassure him over and over again. The kid is delusional. The kid wants promises that will never happen. The kid thinks, honestly, go back and listen to what he said about Nogel Eastern and Matt Harms years ago. A lot more in line. Like those kids think they're pros and they're not. He could have said that about Kanon. He didn't. Now, I agree with you. He didn't need to reveal, like, let Kanon be the one to reveal the dirty details of what happened here if you want. But I get why Matt Painter said it also, right? Because ultimately, Matt Painter is in charge of like painting himself positively from a PR standpoint. And that's what he did. Like making that detail known publicly makes Matt Painter look better. That's Matt Painter's job. So we can agree that's what he's doing here without, I think, like, or at least while understanding why he had to do it. That makes sense or no?
It does. I'm sorry. This is draining
Tired.
me. It really is. It truly is.
All right. Can I put my final bow on this then?
Please, please,
Final
for the
bow
love of
on
God,
this.
please put a bow on it.
So I feel like you and I have been good cop, bad cop throughout this. You've definitely been Mr. Negative, bad cop. I think I've done my best to be Mr. Good cop here. On like I can understand why Painter did all of this. I want to make sure we step back and look at the broad picture of what happened between Kanon Catchings and Purdue here, and really ask ourselves the question: Are we sure we're saying like Matt Painter did this masterfully? Like let's look through this, because I have seen a lot of the takeaways be like, oh, like Painter handled this so well. Now the scholarship problem is solved. The locker room dodged a bullet. Everyone's happy. God, I'm so thankful for how Painter handled this. Broadly, stop me if I'm incorrect on anything that happened here along the way.
Okay.
Number one, Matt Painter recruited and repeatedly retained a talented kid with tons of locker room cancer concerns that repeatedly expressed his uncertainty multiple times in his recruitment before this. That true so far?
That's true.
Okay, two, the kid chooses to leave at the last minute so late that Matt Painter now cannot replace his spot with a rotation level player. Still true?
Aren't they full on scholarships though?
They are full on scholarships. That was also the thing where Matt Painter himself oversigned his roster.
Okay.
But yeah, like in theory, you would want, if Kanon Catchings was a part of your rotation, you would want a rotation replacement. In theory, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's
Preferably.
2. 3. Painter's now in front of a microphone telling people it's not a big deal. Quote, it's not a big deal. And then immediately after that reveals that Kanon wanted to remain at Purdue while saying, I can't anoint a role, but airing out the dirty details for Kanon, basically. Like, yeah, I got the last say here. That is step by step what happened here, right? Recruited a cancer, reaffirmed the cancer repeatedly, gets duped by the locker room cancer, now says it's not a big deal, doesn't have a replacement for him, and also says, yeah, he wanted back. I didn't want him. That is essentially sequentially what happened here, correct?
Yes.
So to summarize, Matt Painter saved the Purdue locker room from the cancerous player that Matt Painter himself wanted in the locker room. Matt Painter solved the scholarship problem that Matt Painter created for Matt Painter's team. Matt Painter is now one really high caliber talent short of what he thought he would have on paper, and there is no pending replacement because it's too late. And Matt Painter now went public to reveal something that essentially paints Kanon as a guy that didn't even want to attend the school he is now attending. I'm sure the coaches and players that are teammates of Kanon's love that. If anyone's takeaway on those 4 things, like how did Painter handle this, is wow, Painter did that masterfully. I don't know what we're looking at. Like, I think it's great that Matt Painter is speaking honestly and has a microphone in front of him. And I love hearing Paint talk whenever he does. And I agree with the decision to not take Kanon Catchings back. But holy shit, were there a lot of missteps along the way here. Like, if you would have sniffed this out a while ago, you have a different player in the spot. that helps Purdue be a better basketball team. If you would have sniffed this out a while ago, you're not dropping the dirty details that paint Kanon as a bad person, or a wishy-washy guy, even though it's obvious he is a wishy-washy guy. It's just like this whole thing's messy, and it's a mess that Painter himself created. And I guess, like, yes, give Matt Painter credit for cleaning up the mess, but the only reason we even know that he cleaned it up is because Kanon initiated this, right? Matt Painter didn't back out of this a week ago. Kanon Catchings backed out of this a week ago. And then Matt Painter scrambled to say no in the end and move on. Like, I am surprised how many people have watched this play out and are like, Painter nailed this. I think Painter botched this.
I'm not surprised
everywhere until yesterday.
It's not surprising whatsoever, actually.
It's not. Why is it not?
Because he can do no wrong.
He's a great coach, Cart.
He is a great coach. He's a great coach. I'm dead ass. He's one of the best. He can do no wrong, though.
And that's how a lot of great coaches are treated, though. Like you've seen this with Tom Izzo through the years. He can do no wrong.
He can.
You are in the minority of people who point out when Izzo is wrong amongst Michigan State fans. Like, you got to understand, this is just how fans operate.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay.
It's insane.
I'm dreading putting this video up. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media Big Board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.